Hello, I'm Joseph. If I'm talking fast, it's because I'm trying to get out of here, but also I had a bunch of coffee. Um, PHP on Windows has been not the greatest experience. We have things like Laravel Herd, which is free. You can pay for the extra services and features like getting a database also set up or doing proxy services or the automatic deployment to their Laravel hosting solutions. Then there's also PHP.new. If you just need PHP, download and install. My point, though, is that I am an extensions developer. I work on PHP extensions, and one thing is Raylib PHP, which is a way to make or use Raylib with PHP on Windows. It's fast. It's quick. You can actually make a full game on there. It has sound, 3D models, textures, bone animations, 2D rendering stuff. Windows, Linux, Mac. You can do that. Now you do have to do things if you want to make your own binary to like embed it into the PHP like a .exe runtime, stuff like that. I didn't bother ever going further than that because I wanted to make my own custom game engine. But till I get to that point, that's where I'm coming from. There's about 50,000 lines of C code. Building up a native extension or DLL for Windows isn't the funnest thing to do, and that's why most people just don't even bother, even if they do have a native extension that they've made, to even try to get it to work on Windows. So, with that said, these two solutions here do not do anything to actually help you configure native extensions. They may do that automatically, but it's predetermined. You don't have any real control over it. So what you would normally do is go to php.net, download PHP, configure the INI, then go to Pickle, which wasn't usually this used to did not have the DLLs attached to it, from my understanding. What you have to do is you'd be chucked into something like this. Which, by the way, this is a better way to find DLLs than going to Pickle's website, and that's simply because there's one out of every 6 packages you will run into will not have Windows support. On top of that, if it has Windows support, it may not even be for the version of Windows that you actually want to use, or sorry, the versions of PHP that you want to use. So if I go to Cassandra here, I go click on the DLL, it's for PHP 7 and lower, or 7.1 and lower. I can't use it for my current version of PHP 8 or whatever. And so I'm just taking this experience. And by the way, if you try to search, you can't search for versions of PHP. You can't search for Windows, Linux, or Mac. You can't search for thread safety or non-thread safety. That's important for some of the context. Some of these extensions, some of them do require thread safety, like parallels for PHP, which is a way to get the multi-threading stuff to work. I made this. So this is a Kotlin Compose multi-platform. I already made videos on Kotlin Compose multi-platform as well, or KMP and Compose multi-platform. This is the stuff that you would do for like Android development. So learning this isn't like the worst thing in the world. And yeah, so this lets you select a version of PHP. I only have 8.3 to 8.1 just because I want to test every one of these extensions to make sure they work in every configuration. And if there's any special INI stuff that I need to do, it can happen. So there's just that. It'll pre-select by default what is already there. I have to do some more work to read the existing INI to reselect these things. So if you want to go back to a version and choose something else, you can do that. But yeah, basically that is you just click the button and it will download the version of PHP, set up all these extensions that you see. Some of them, these all like 35 of these are built in. The rest of them are actually from the Pickle website. I had to scrape the Pickle website, by the way. So it downloaded this, it made a folder for it, it set up PHP, INI, you got Composer already attached to that. And then if I go to my PowerShell here and I go to PHP-version, it sets up the past stuff. So I have it there. I have the extensions added to there. And then I can also do Composer, and then you have your Composer there. So basically with all the other crap I was already showing, but the added benefit of configuring these extensions, seeing a visual of these, of what they are with like information up front, and because there's really not that many extensions available for PHP, specifically for Windows. And this can run on Linux and Mac too. I just haven't done any work to even try to attempt that. But that was thread safety or non-thread safety. So I can enable this and I can actually go to a different version of PHP, download that. It'll do the same thing. Download a version of this. So let me go ahead and close this here. It'll reopen it, another folder back up so you know where PHP is actually installed at. And there we go. Now, if I open up a new shell and I do PHP dash dash version, we're going from PHP 8.3 to 8.2. Now we have 8.2 there. We also have Composer still available for us to use. Pretty simple, pretty basic stuff. This is not supposed to be a complicated GUI or anything else like that, but I want to make a lot of more prettiness to this. These are categorized based off what Pickle has provided. That was me going and scraping this stuff. Pickle has an open source website version, but their data in the databases don't seem to be attached to that, and I'm not sure how to get access to that data right now. So I'm just scraping the tables of these individual packages here. So Okay, that's the wrong one to go to then. So this is probably the wrong one too. But and there we go. So, I scrape this stuff. I scrape all the at least the latest version of it. See if it can work for your version of PHP and stuff like that. So that's it. That's all this does. It's a very simple thing using the JVM and being able to compile or build up a .app for Mac OS, MSI for Windows as an installer, and so you can install this. This currently goes to a gist file. I don't have it up here right now, but yeah, it just goes to a gist file to download the JSON stuff, and then you have it on your system. So this way, it doesn't have to keep downloading it or try to parse the pickle website because that's brittle. That can break at any point. And it's more than just pickle down the line. I want to be able to set this up so if you have a GitHub repository, you can just submit a link or something like that, and then it'll be added to this repository of stuff to download. And then the other things of if it's Xdebug or ImageMagick, it's more than just click a gearbox and set it up because that will be pre-configured for you. But like ImageMagick specifically as well, you need to set up stuff like you config the ImageMagick and an ImageMagick path and some other stuff there that may not be super upfront, oh, I get ImageMagick, and then you try to use it and it doesn't work because you don't have ImageMagick set up as it needs to, because it's more than just INI configuration. So it is a glorified INI editor-ish type of thing. I want to put some extra things in here so you can configure error reporting, error logging, all this other stuff. But that's it. That's all I'm going to show for now. I do have some other stuff in the works using Zig to cross compile and targeting Windows and not having to be stuck on Windows and downloading 10 gigabytes of Visual Studio. With Zig, 70 megabytes, you can program in a C or Zig version of an extension. You don't have to need to have access to the MSVC C++ compiler.